In your 60s? No way. We don't hire high school dropouts in middle age.
Disguised as a job seeker, I, the chairman, headed to an interview at the Berlin branch of our company, Superior Productions. The reason being, the turnover rate at the Berlin branch had increased alarmingly, becoming a serious issue. I suspected the HR department was the cause, so I decided to investigate personally. At the office, the head of HR, Laura, initially conducted the interview politely. However, as the interview neared its end, she began to insult me as if trying to crush my spirit. I'm sorry, but I didn't see any educational requirements listed on the job posting.
Of course, it's not listed. Can a high school dropout figure that out? First, you should learn to read between the lines.
Hearing Laura's comments, I concluded she was indeed the cause of the issues at the Berlin branch. Being insulted for being a high school dropout and middle-aged was unpleasant. However, thinking about what would happen to her next, I couldn't help but smile. My name is Carl Wilson. I'm the chairman of Superior Productions, a company that deals with electronic products. At 63, I'm quite old, and it's tough to be active on the front lines. That's why I already handed over the position of CEO at headquarters to my son. He's in his 30s, making him a young CEO. I often advise him, but he's eager and will soon stand on his own. Also, to ensure the company doesn't falter without me, I established many training programs while I was the CEO at headquarters. Thanks to that, the employees have developed well, and even after I became the chairman, the company remained stable. I manage a huge corporation called Superior Productions, but in reality, I'm a high school dropout. I grew up in a poor family. Now, Superior Productions has grown into a massive corporation, but it started as a small factory run by my parents. Back then, the business was struggling, and our family finances were tight. So I couldn't afford to go to college.
I'm sorry, Carl.
I want you to focus on your studies without worrying about anything.
It's okay. Don't worry about me. Dad, Mom, you just focus on your work.
I loved seeing my parents work hard in their factory. So, I wanted them to keep working hard without worrying about me. After thinking about how to help them focus on their work, I made a suggestion.
I'll start working part-time after I graduate from high school. That way, you and Mom can take it a bit easier, right?
But
It's fine. Leave it to me.
So, I started working at a restaurant right after graduating from high school. Thanks to that, we eased our financial burden a bit, and our life became more manageable. I continued to work and support the family, and during that time, the factory's business improved significantly. We were finally living comfortably, but when I turned 22, I faced a problem. As a high school dropout, I couldn't find a company that would hire me full-time. My father made a suggestion.
if you're okay with it, why not work at our factory?
Really?
I know you're responsible, so we'd love to have you work with us.
That's how I started working at my parents' factory. I studied electronics and quickly learned the assembly methods. I became a dependable employee, and when my father's health declined, I took over as the factory manager. Luckily, after I took over, the business took off, and we started making significant profits. The company grew, and we eventually had multiple factories and subsidiaries. I got married at 30 and had one son. However, those happy times didn't last long, as both of my parents passed away in their 60s. They had overworked themselves managing the business, which took a toll on their health. They had laid the foundation for what Superior Productions had become. To honor their efforts, I served as the CEO and chairman diligently.
We've got a problem at the Berlin branch, and Shane, the president, has contacted us about it.
What seems to be the problem? Shane is the president of Superior Productions Berlin branch. He has a high level of enthusiasm and dedication to his work, and was dispatched from headquarters when the overseas branch was established. One day, an employee reported an issue to me.
It seems that the turnover rate at the Berlin branch is unusually high, and it's causing problems. New hires are quitting almost immediately, and even long-term employees are leaving, which is strange.
I see. I asked the employee, "Do you have any idea what the problem at the branch could be?"
No, Shane is also investigating, but he hasn't been able to pick the cause, so he contacted headquarters for advice. Even when we ask those who are leaving for their reasons, they just say it's personal. And when we interview the remaining staff, we don't get much useful information. However, despite the rising turnover rate, the HR department has been silent, leading Shane to suspect that there might be an issue within HR.
I understand. Considering the situation at the branch, I pondered for a moment. The Berlin branch has about 100 employees. Given its size, there might be things that are hard to notice or grasp from the president's standpoint. The HR department, huh? But if Shane can't figure it out, then we might also struggle. The increasing turnover rate is reflected in the numbers, so there must be a reason for it. Someone must be conveniently covering it up. But if Shane can't uncover it, can I investigate it from another company? Then an idea struck me, and I started researching on my computer. After examining the results on the screen for a while, I nodded. I'll go myself.
What, Carl, by yourself? Surely, we can't trouble you with this.
Superior Productions has made significant progress in developing its personnel. My son is doing well, so I don't have much work to do. Given my connection with Shane, I'm the right person for this. Besides, the plan I devised based on the search results can only be executed by me. I had already figured out a way to investigate if there was a problem in the HR department.
If you insist, I understand. Please be careful.
After that, I informed Shane that I would conduct a surprise investigation to uncover the culprit. Then, I headed to the Berlin branch alone to find out if there was a problem in the HR department. The method I came up with was to apply for a job at the Berlin branch of Superior Productions. It's a bold idea, but it should be effective in understanding the situation in HR. I contacted them, expressing my desire to interview, and received approval. There was no preliminary document screening, and I was asked to bring my resume directly to the interview. Very few people at the overseas branch knew my face. Probably only Shane. The Berlin branch staff is about half American and half German, so the interview could be conducted in English. I prepared by recalling my distant memories of job hunting and researching recent practices online. On the day of the interview, I arrived at the Berlin branch on time. I entered the company and knocked on the door.
Please come in.
"Excuse me." I greeted and entered the interview room, where a woman was waiting.
Nice to meet you. I'm Laura, the head of HR at Superior Productions.
My name is Carl Wilson. Thank you for having me today. The positions at the Berlin branch are primarily filled by staff dispatched from the U.S. Therefore, Laura, the head of HR, is a true American.
Now, let's discuss a few things. What motivated you to apply to our company?
I have been working in the electronics industry for my entire career. I wanted to bring the skills I've developed to your company and contribute to your success.
I see. Your resume does show extensive experience in the electronics industry. What would you say is your strongest skill among those you've developed?
From what I'm hearing now, Laura's conduct doesn't seem problematic. Perhaps the assumption that the HR department is the issue was wrong. Yes, I have handled both manufacturing and development tasks in the factory. So, I believe I can be particularly effective in the manufacturing and development departments. I answered her questions one by one. The interview proceeded smoothly.
Now, for the final question.
Laura smiled rather slyly as she asked,
Do you really think you can contribute to our company with such a shabby career?
I was taken aback by the unexpected question. What do you mean by that? For some reason, she started giggling. Seeing Laura's reaction made me uneasy.
You're a high school dropout, aren't you?
That's true, but I've honed my skills through my work experience, so I'm confident I can perform well at Superior Productions.
You can say anything about your work performance, but this level of education proves you're incompetent. And in your 60s? No way. We don't hire middle-aged high school dropouts.
Indeed, being a high school dropout carries a low social value. I've felt that many times in my life. But I never expected to be called out on it during an interview, and I was at a loss for words.
A dropout is a dropout. Once hired, you'd struggle to keep up. I can't see you thriving in our company.
I'm sorry, but I didn't see any educational requirements listed on the job posting.
Of course, it's not listed. Can't a dropout figure that out? You should learn to read between the lines.
It's likely that Laura added those conditions on her own without Shane's approval. Yet she spoke as if it were perfectly natural.
Superior Productions is a major corporation with branches not only in the U.S., but also overseas. There's no way we would hire a high school dropout. Use your common sense, please.
Laura's words are outrageous. As a former CO, I have hired many talented people regardless of their educational background. The notion that we don't hire high school dropouts is a misunderstanding of Superior Productions principles.
Honestly, this company has too many high school dropouts. It's been a real headache. But since I've been in charge of hiring, things are better. The previous head would hire just anyone. It's such a hassle to fire someone once they're hired. I wish they'd consider the burden on those of us who have to manage it.
Didn't you hire high school dropouts if they were motivated?
What's that? Are you saying we should hire you because you're motivated? If you're going to sell yourself, come up with something better.
Laura wasn't taking me seriously, but I continued to argue. But I've heard that Superior Productions doesn't prioritize academic background.
A company that doesn't care about education? That doesn't exist. Where did you hear such a fairy tale? In this world, it's all about your education. Only college graduates like me get treated properly. Why don't you go work at a corner store or go back to high school? Oh, but if someone your age enrolled, it would be pitiful for the other students.
Listening to her, I understood the situation clearly. Indeed, a significant problem was evident. At the very least, it was clear that an employee who goes against Superior Productions principles was serving as the head of HR. Understood. Thank you for your time today.
I'll send you the results by email later. though we both know what the answer will be. Have a safe trip home.
Laura saw me off with a satisfied look as if she had enjoyed herself. Despite her insults making me feel unpleasant, I remained calm. Of course, this was because I knew exactly what was going to happen to Laura next. The next day, I contacted Shane and arrived at the Berlin branch a little earlier than the start of work. I then revealed that I had attended an interview and spoken with Laura. When Shane learned of Laura's attitude, his face turned pale.
I am terribly sorry, Carl. I can't believe one of our employees was so rude.
Don't apologize. This was an unannounced visit. However, we were able to identify what seems to be the cause of the high turnover rate.
Yes, thanks to you. I will assign employees to further investigate, so the truth should come to light soon. Please wait a moment.
Shane called a few early arriving employees and explained the situation. He instructed them to gather information about the internal situation. The employees scattered throughout the company as instructed. Until now, even when conducting interviews, it had been challenging to get to the truth. However, with my visit as the chairman and identifying the suspect, things would start moving. Shane, looking nervous, said,
Still, applying for an interview at our company.
I thought it would be an effective way to understand the HR department.
A chairman bold enough to do such a thing is rare, even if you search far and wide.
Seeing my actions, Shane managed a strained smile. Indeed, I thought I might have gone too far this time. But considering what had come to light, I hoped for some leniency.
The likelihood that Laura is the cause is high. She behaves courteously in front of me, so I had no idea.
Even in the interview, she initially seemed perfectly fine. She's quite skilled at putting on a facade.
Considering none of the employees ever complained to me, they were likely silenced. This sounds like an excuse, but as the president, I realize there are many things I can't see.
Feeling dejected, Shane sighed. Discovering that wrongdoing had been happening right under his nose must have been frustrating. And then, the person in question arrived.
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Shane. Oh, it's you.
Seeing me, Laura spoke. As soon as she saw me, she recognized that I was the person who had come for the interview the day before. She giggled and said,
Was it Carl? What are you doing here? I sent you a polite rejection email.
Yes, I did receive that.
What? That attitude. Shane, why is this person here? Did he come to beg for a job directly?
Hearing her words, the employees fell into an awkward silence. And noticing Laura's arrival, the surrounding employees turned pale and watched. They didn't know the cause, but even Laura understood that the current situation was bad. Looking around, Laura said,
What? Did I say something wrong? Anyway, Shane, let's get rid of this presumptuous person. It's almost time to start work.
She was the only one who didn't understand the situation. Of course, no one listened to Laura's order to throw me out. Sensing the strange atmosphere, but not understanding why, she became frustrated.
Hey, why isn't anyone moving? Someone call security. I never said we should hire this person.
Laura, this is Carl, the chairman.
What? Carl, the chairman?
An employee, unable to stand it any longer, revealed my identity. As a department head, she recognized the name. Hearing the shocking truth, Laura froze but eventually spoke.
Carl? Of Superior Productions?
Yes, you should apologize for what you said to him yesterday.
Realizing her blunder, Laura began to panic.
That can't be true. This person is a high school dropout, right? Did he lie on his resume? Either way, there's no way someone like him could run a major company.
Sorry to disappoint, but I am Carl, the chairman of Superior Productions. Do you have any complaints? I informed Laura, who still couldn't face reality. She began to tremble.
No complaints at all. So you are Carl. I deeply apologize for yesterday's rudeness. But why did you attend our interview? If you had made an appointment, we would have welcomed you properly.
I wouldn't have achieved my goal if I hadn't seen your true colors. So, I conducted an unannounced investigation.
And what was your goal?
I think you already know. Thanks to you, it was easy to accomplish. Despite being a college graduate, you don't seem very impressive. Remembering Laura's words, I gave her a cold stare. Receiving my gaze, Laura shrank back. As the head of HR, you seem to be doing whatever you please within the company.
What do you mean? I am dedicated to Superior Productions. I haven't done anything that would warrant Carl's reprimand.
Despite what you say, you babbled a lot during the interview yesterday. It was worth disguising myself and attending the interview.
Ugh.
Her eyes darted nervously. It was clear she had a guilty conscience. I straightforwardly confronted her. I came to investigate because I heard the turnover rate at the Berlin branch is unusually high. Are you the root cause?
Why would you say such a thing? As the head of HR, I'm contributing to the company's management.
Then why, as head of HR, haven't you addressed the rising turnover rate?
Well,
Laura must have been aware of the increasing turnover rate. But to get rid of employees she didn't like, she deliberately ignored it. Since she was still trying to deceive, I decided to confront her with undeniable evidence. And what about your attitude during yesterday's interview?
that was only because Carl didn't reveal his true identity.
My identity isn't the point. You treat every candidate with such rudeness, don't you? No wonder we can't retain new hires. With such behavior from the head of HR, even if someone received an offer, any decent person would decline. When I pressed her about yesterday's interview, she hastily made excuses.
No, it was just a coincidence. I don't always act like that.
Really? Then why did you coincidentally behave so rudely yesterday? There must be a reason convincing enough to satisfy me.
Well, I was a bit frustrated with some work issues.
Laura grasped at a flimsy excuse. It was obviously a weak justification. Seeing my stern gaze, she faltered. Also, I suspect your behavior within the company is problematic.
Why would you say that? Carl, you only arrived at the Berlin branch yesterday. You haven't seen my work attitude.
Are you sure that's the truth?
Of course. I work diligently every day.
Desperate to defend herself, Laura spoke firmly. At that moment, the employees sent by Shane to investigate returned.
Carl, Shane, we've made progress with the investigation and would like to report our findings.
Go ahead. A German employee approached and spoke to me. Fluent in English, he addressed us in English.
Considering Carl's visit and the investigation into Laura, we conducted interviews with the employees. Many who had been silent began to speak out. Several claimed to have been harassed by Laura.
I see.
Hey, who said that?
Laura raised her voice in protest. But in this situation, the German employee's words held more credibility.
She's been accused of forcing resignations, harassment in private meetings, and threats of demotion. 7 employees who left this year claimed they couldn't endure her harassment.
That's nonsense. If you don't want your performance reviews to suffer, you'd better shut your mouth now.
Laura, I glared at her as she tried to cover up her wrongdoing. Realizing her mistake, she hurriedly covered her mouth. As head of HR, your actions are unacceptable. Not only do you mock and chase away motivated new hires, but you also drive employees to resign with your tyranny.
No, Carl. Someone is trying to frame me. A wise chairman like yourself should know who to believe here.
Who was it that called me an incompetent high school dropout yesterday?
That's...
Laura's face turned pale. As she continued making excuses, Shane spoke up.
Laura.
Hearing the facts one after another, Shane was quietly furious. Sensing this, Laura panicked.
Shane, I'm innocent. Have you forgotten how much I've contributed to the company's growth?
But now, so many wrongdoings have been revealed that I can no longer defend you. Do you understand that?
Shane glared at her. Facing his intense gaze, Laura shrank back.
Recently, the Berlin branch has been struggling with a shortage of staff and high turnover. As head of HR, you must have been aware of this. But it turns out you are the cause. What else could this be but betrayal?
No, Shane.
I appointed you as head of HR because I valued your diligent work. But it seems you only saw it as an opportunity to behave as you pleased within the company. It's unbelievable.
Shane had trusted and appointed Laura. That's why he was troubled, unable to pinpoint the cause of the unusual turnover rate. It's only natural for him to feel betrayed.
It's really not true. Someone is plotting to bring me down. Right, everyone?
Laura pleaded for help from the employees nearby.
I've been devoted to you all as your manager. Surely you haven't forgotten that.
Hearing this, the branch employees exchanged glances. After a moment of thought, they spoke up.
I was always mocked by Laura for being a high school graduate.
She threatened to cut my pay.
She told me to stick to menial tasks because I'm a high school dropout, even though I've built a career.
Hey, don't mess around. Who do you think allowed you to work here?
Laura must have been keeping the employees quiet about her misdeeds. But with my presence, the employees felt they no longer needed to protect her.
You've forgotten all the favors I've done for you.
It seems no one here feels they owe you anything. The employees are fed up with your behavior.
Those employees are lying. I've worked tirelessly for this company. It's not fair that I'm the only one being blamed.
It's clear that she had been abusing her power within the company. But Laura still refused to admit her wrongdoing.
This company is full of incompetence holding us back. Why should I be the one to suffer?
I responded to her continued excuses. Do you still not understand the severity of your actions? When I raised my voice, she gasped. Do you realize how many employees have suffered unjustly and been driven to resign because of you? But Laura, seemingly unable to back down, retorted.
What's wrong with calling an incompetent person incompetent? What's so bad about that?
Your definition of incompetence is based on their academic background, not their skills. Have you ever properly evaluated the hard work of the employees?
Of course, academic background is important. What's wrong with that?
Seeing she still didn't understand, I spoke. Do you know what Superior Productions values?
That would be the pride of being a large corporation.
You really don't get it. Superior Productions has grown because we hire people regardless of their academic background and have a robust training system.
Regardless of academic background,
It seemed Laura truly didn't understand. As the chairman, I explained, I'm a high school dropout, and there are many in this company who started with only a high school diploma and have risen to managerial positions. Shane is one of them.
even Shane.
If high school dropouts are to be looked down upon, then I should be one of your targets as well.
No, Shane.
Superior Productions does not prioritize academic backgrounds. Considering Shane's experience and passion for electronics, I appointed him as the branch president. There are many talented individuals who couldn't attend college for various reasons. I decided to hire motivated individuals regardless of their academic background and provide training to nurture them. As a result, Superior Productions has grown into a large corporation with many branches.
What?
I'm a high school dropout for a reason. That's why I understand that low academic background doesn't necessarily mean low skill. Superior Productions is a valuable company I inherited from my parents. I wanted it to be a place where people with similar backgrounds to mine could thrive, so I established training programs. This allowed motivated employees to showcase their abilities, securing many talented individuals. Shane is one of those who utilized this system and climbed up to the branch president. By gathering talented people overlooked by other companies, Superior Productions grew into a large corporation. But what about you? You judge people by their academic background, using those without a college degree as your stress relief. Do you realize you're acting against our company's principles?
No, but people with low academic backgrounds are obviously incompetent.
Can you say the same about me and Shane?
Even though you're a college graduate, you've been belittling people, driving them to resign, and causing a staffing shortage. I think we high school dropouts have contributed far more than you.
Laura fell silent, comparing us. It's clear she couldn't assert that all high school dropouts are incompetent. With us standing before her, considering your misdeeds, we cannot keep you in this company. Do you understand?
Wait, the Berlin branch has been running thanks to me. How can you fire me?
Despite you causing a staffing shortage, you still say such things? Hearing my reprimand, Laura's face showed despair. That's not all. You will also pay compensation to those you've harmed. After an investigation, we will notify you again. Face the consequences of looking down on others unjustly.
No, I won't pay any compensation. Carl, Shane, please reconsider.
Laura continued to plead with us, crying. But we had no intention of forgiving her for driving the Berlin branch into a corner with her tyranny. Unable to accept being fired and having to pay compensation, she kept begging for mercy. Laura's refusal to give up led to her being forcibly removed from the company by security. Naturally, she was fired and did not show up at the Berlin branch the next day. Despite her numerous calls to headquarters, trying to appeal to me, I ignored them all. Further investigation revealed that a total of 10 employees had been driven to mental and physical distress by her actions. We demanded compensation from Laura, and she ended up paying around $100,000 in total. The compensation claims emptied her savings. Laura tried to find a job at another company in the same industry to cover her living expenses, but couldn't. Even with her academic background and skills, she was not hired because I had informed my fellow COs about her behavior that jeopardized our company. Unable to find a job, she eventually ended up working a low-wage part-time job at a convenience store. Falling from a department head to a part-time worker must have been humiliating, but she would now have to serve customers with various academic backgrounds.
Thank you, Carl.
Don't mention it. It was tough, but it's good we avoided an irreparable situation. Keep taking care of the Berlin branch. With Laura gone, the atmosphere at the Berlin branch greatly improved. It might be difficult to quickly replace the lost personnel, but the problem person was gone. Eventually, the branch would return to its former state. I continued to advise on management as chairman and supported my son in his role as president. Whenever there were issues at other branches, I worked hard to resolve them. My son became more adept at management, expanding the business and potentially adding more branches. Superior Productions, known for valuing motivation over academic background, gained a stellar reputation. As chairman, I aim to grow this company I inherited from my parents into an even larger